there. In this video, we're going to talk about scaling your business. I'm Diane. I sold a business for $28 million. It was a niche staffing agency, and I sold another staffing agency, built another one to 8 figures. So I built 2 8-figure staffing agencies. The first one I sold to a public company. The second one I sold to in a private sale. It was also an 8-figure business. And I share tips on how my vision, which is to make entrepreneurship easier for anyone who wants to run a business, start a business, scale a business. And in this video, I'm going to share a bit of my story on how I scaled. Okay. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. So when I first started out and started my temp agency now, and when I share from my experience, I share my 5 steps to building an 8-figure agency. And this is step 3, is scaling. Now, when I talk to you, my goal is for you to get at least one nugget that makes you look at your business differently and that you can implement into your business. Some of the things I share won't be for you. So I believe that entrepreneurship is very creative and individual. So what I believe is take what you like from what anybody says, take what you like, take what makes sense, and then the rest, do what you want, because you're the founder. So do what makes sense for you. Not everything that I do, not everything that anybody else does is going to completely make sense for you. Okay. So let's dig in. When I started my agency, first of all, just so you know a bit about how I operate, I was putting ads in the paper we did title insurance people. And so I put an ad in the Los Angeles Times for a title assistant. And it was, back then it was in a mailbox, like a PO box. And that was near my work, and I would check the PO box every single day. And I still remember so vividly the day I got a resume. And I could not believe that someone sent me a resume. And I still remember the person. Her name was Karen Saul. And the day that I got that resume was the day that I quit my job. Okay. So not everybody is so risk tolerant as I am, but I looked at it this way. I was in my 20s and I saw the risk as staying in my corporate job. I was working in a cube and I was not going to do that. And so I saw that as a bigger risk than betting on myself and going off on my business. Okay. But did I know what I was doing? Absolutely not. So what I did is, I just quit. I went to a workout class and they were playing Alanis Morissette's Isn't It Ironic? And I thought, wow, this kind of relates. And I gotta quit my job and I gotta get going on this. So things happened pretty quickly. And I'm a big fly by the seat of my pants kind of founder only up until a certain point. And let me explain. I am not the kind of person that needs to dot all I's and cross all T's before I get started. And I think that's why I've been able to start and build things. Now, I've also had a failure. My clothing business was a failure because I wasn't planned enough. So I'm just going to share that little bit with you. But with my staffing agencies, when I placed my first temp, I did not even know what payroll taxes were. Not kidding. Okay. I got the business and then I figured it out. Okay. Pretty soon after, we were doing 20K months. And we were counting like, oh my gosh. And then we did, then 100K months. When we did our first 100K month, we were like, we're $1 million company. We have $1 million run rate. And then we got to $1 million weeks about 5 years later. So things happened really fast. So we went from one temp to, what was that, like $25,000 weeks to $1 million weeks, literally. Okay. And we did not know, we had no clue what we were doing when we first started. Okay. So the first year, probably we were just flying by the seat of our pants, just kind of building it as we were, I don't know, what do they say, building the rocket ship on the way up. And then eventually, then we decided we saw we really had a business. We had to get serious, and we really had to scale. And we had to scale properly, otherwise things would get too out of hand. At the beginning, I was the one doing QuickBooks, which was a total joke. So we started really getting serious. We brought in a legit CPA. Okay. We started hiring more people on our executive team. We built what we called the war room. Don't love that name, but we built a room with whiteboards all over the wall and started tracking everything. We tracked every piece of data, and we acted like a big company. We started acting like a big company before we were one. We actually were never big. I would say, about 50 million is pretty mid-size. But and today I run a new kind of staffing agency because I'm scaling for the world that we live in now. Okay, so back then, scaling was different. Scaling was we had an exceptional team. We automated what was available to automate. We had a solid ATS system, and we had our whiteboards, which really helped us to scale. And then we started putting in processes. We hired a chief operating officer who he also managed all of the branch managers all over the country. And that was then. We sold in the early 2000s. And my second business, similar, we sold in it was 2011 is when we sold that company. So today I run a different kind of staffing agency because it's built for the world we live in now. So we automate everything we can. I knew a lot more. I learned a lot more lessons this time around than I did before. We automate everything we can, okay, like onboarding, follow-ups, and my entire team is now offshore. Okay, so it was my vision to build something scalable where I could share my vision, share what I wanted to build, and have other people build it for me. I'm much more of a visionary than a detail person. I'm not really an ops person. I'm more, this is what I want to happen. Can you make it happen? And that's what my team does for me. I have 5 incredible people managing everything behind the scenes for less than what it would cost me to hire one full-time, even just one full-time admin here domestically in the United States. So that's how I'm able to be here to do these things and make videos and be consistent on my content, because my team has created standard operating procedures. We can add more clients. We can scale. I have a recruiting, we have recruiters and sourcers. So my point to this whole video is one of the most important things in building an 8-figure agency. The third step is to scale, put in the system. Scaling doesn't just mean hiring more people. It means putting in systems so that you can add more recs, you can do more business without adding more expenses. And that's part of, if you're going to go and look to build your company to exit, you want to be scalable, you want to have your systems in place, and you want to be able to grow in that way. So let me know if you have any questions about scaling, and I'm going to ask you this question. One thing is that scaling, you can remember this, scaling is doing more with what you already have. It's going better, faster, and smarter. Okay, it doesn't mean adding new business lines. It means streamlining the business lines you already have. Okay, so ask yourself this: what is one thing that you're not automating that you could automate this quarter? I'm Diane Prince, and make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can get tips on your entrepreneurial journey.